I feel so honored to welcome you all to the first ever, and hopefully only, Jewish Family and Children's Services virtual event. Every year, I look forward to the Women's Breakfast. It's a great opportunity to connect with friends and learn about JF&CS's impact. Today, our services in the Center for Early Relationship Support are needed more than ever, especially by low-income families, immigrants, new parents, and moms in recovery. You will hear more this morning about how JF&CS is responding to the increased needs of our clients for essential items as well as for financial and emotional support. JF&CS is a lifeline. As you've just seen, every year we touch the lives of thousands of families, providing emotional and financial support when they need it most. This morning, you will learn about our work and how we continue to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. We will share stories of the challenges our clients are facing and how we are responding in high-impact and innovative ways. And of course, we are thrilled to honor Lauren Baker, the First Lady of Massachusetts. Through her work on behalf of the Wonder Fund, Lauren has demonstrated an incredible commitment to improving the lives of the state's more vulnerable children. She has also worked tirelessly to mobilize support and response through the Massachusetts COVID-19 Relief Fund. Under Lauren's leadership, more than $20 million has been raised for the state of Massachusetts. What an impact. Thank you so much on behalf of JF&CS. We look forward to a live conversation coming up between Mrs. Baker and Peggy Kaufman, Director of the Center for Early Relationship Support. 13 years ago, when my older daughter was born, I felt so alone. My parents lived out of state, and I didn't have any friends who had babies. Not to mention, my daughter had serious feeding issues, which was scary and isolating. Years later, when I found out about JF&CS support for new moms, I remember thinking how much easier that first year would have been if I had just known about these programs. 30 years ago, Peggy Kaufman launched a home visiting program pairing volunteers with new moms. Today, the Lauren and Mark Rubin Visiting Moms programs continues to touch the lives of new moms and has engaged volunteers. As I said before, JF&CS truly is a lifeline.
Thank you so much, Susan. I'm Debbie Corin. I am honored to co-chair this year's Women's Breakfast with Susan. My relationship with CERS began 15 years ago when I became a volunteer in the Rubin Visiting Mom program. Each mom I visited has taught me something and enriched my life. Spending 1.5 hours a week with a new mom and her baby is a powerful experience. Listening, normalizing, empathizing, and ensuring her that she is not alone is what I do. Moms have shared with me that no one told me how hard it is, and this isn't what I expected. Sleep deprivation, feelings of insecurity, and postpartum emotions are common. 3 years ago, I started a new parent support group in Sharon for CERS. These groups are available to parents and their babies up to 1 year old, providing them a safe space to meet and share with other new parents. They share their highs and lows, tips on sleep, feeding, all things they have in common. In addition, they create their village, which is a lifeline for them. Both of these programs are vital to the health and well-being of families. In this time of distancing, this is even more important. I had no idea what it would be like to connect with the parents in my group from my home via computer. I can tell you that it is an amazing experience and the highlight of my week. The parents connect, empathize, share tips, and for 1.5 hours every week, they feel connected and less lonely. They do miss going out for lunch after group. My fellow visiting moms and group leaders have learned over the past 2 months that our work, in whatever format, is more urgent than ever before. There are many times over the past 15 years that I have relied on JF&CS professionals for support. I've marveled at the many ways JF&CS supports our clients. One that stands out for me is a mom that I visited last year who found herself out of work, pregnant, and living in a town unfamiliar to her. She was not making ends meet, struggling every month to pay her rent and utilities. Shortly after I met her, her car was repossessed, making looking for a job impossible. JF&CS stepped up in a very big way. They provided gift cards for groceries, diapers, formula, clothing for the baby, connected her with legal counsel, and much, much more. They were a lifeline for her family. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce Gail Schulman. Gail joined JF&CS as CEO in early January. She knew the agency well, having had a visiting mom herself. Just weeks into her tenure, the pandemic emerged. We are so fortunate to have her leading the agency with her wisdom, experience, and vision.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you everyone for joining me here today. This is definitely not what I expected for my first women's breakfast, but in some crazy way, it's actually very appropriate. You see, my first connection with JF&CS actually started in my kitchen. It was 18 years ago, and I was a new mother of twins who were born 2.5 months prematurely. My daughter weighed only 2.5 pounds, and my son wasn't breathing. I was a successful professional woman used to operating on a plan, but nowhere in the playbook did it say what to do when one of my babies couldn't breathe, or how to maintain my sanity when just feeding my babies took up 16 hours out of every day. I was scared and clueless, but much as I needed help, I didn't actually want someone to tell me what to do. It was my absolute good fortune that my sister suggested a call to the Lauren and Mark Rubin Visiting Moms program at JF&CS. Peggy Kaufman and her team welcomed me without judgment and connected me with a visiting mom who came every week to help me through my fears or to offer an extra pair of hands. I feel so fortunate that I'm now in a position to give back for that help. And I recognize that if I was so anxious, as an English-speaking, well-educated professional woman with a home and a partner, how much harder must it be for our clients who are all alone or financially vulnerable or recovering from trauma or substance abuse? But the beauty of CERS is that we support all of these new moms, giving each what she needs with compassion and without judgment. In some ways, these past few months have felt a little bit like those crazy times as a new parent. I was just 2 months into my job when March hit, and the world turned upside down. Now I'm running an organization remotely, supporting an enormous increase in our clients' physical, mental, and financial needs, caring for our staff whose own family lives were upended, and watching our expenses go up and our revenues go down, all at the same time. Like a new mom, I'm operating around the clock without enough sleep. And of course I worry. But like a new mom, I put my worries aside because there are people who need me to be fully present. And also like a new mom, I am so grateful to be engaged in what feels like God's work, and by the satisfaction that that work brings. And like parenthood, I wouldn't trade that work for anything because I'm so proud of what our agency is doing through this crisis. We've kept nearly every program going in some shape or form. Most of our home visits have turned into televisits, but the connection remains very real. We've built more than 20 weekly support groups for new parents, with specialty groups for single parents, adoptive parents, Spanish-speaking parents, NICU parents, and many more. And not surprisingly, our groups for women who are suffering from postpartum depression have seen a significant increase during this time, and those groups are so important. We're also offering free parenting consulting for any parent of a child under the age of 3 as a service to the whole community, and additional consultation to our partners at Horizons, Epiphany, and Dimick. And we're helping clients financially. In the first week of the crisis, we delivered 100 bags of emergency supplies, and we're continuing to support families in need. This work couldn't happen without all of you. And I want to thank our chairs and our incredible committee, as well as the hundreds of volunteers and donors who support our work and who have already contributed to this event. I also want to thank our friends at Combined Jewish Philanthropies, who immediately asked us what we needed and provided funding to us within a week. I'm so grateful for their partnership and their generosity. We don't know how long this crisis will last, but we do know that our clients' increased needs will go on for many, many months. Your generous support lets us help them financially and emotionally. Thank you all. It's now my pleasure to turn the program over to Peggy Kaufman, who has led the Center for Early Relationship Support with compassion and innovation for over 30 years, and is truly a leader in the field of infant mental health on the state level and beyond. Peggy?
Thank you, Gail, and welcome again to our breakfast. The resounding message that we hear from families and providers is CERS has been my lifeline. And thanks to our devoted staff, we are continuing to provide that lifeline while developing creative resources in this time of greatest need. More than 30 years ago, we saw a need to support parents as they navigated beginning a family and raising their children with all the stresses and realities that came their way. The Center for Early Relationship Support grew from a simple idea to a body of services with dedicated staff and volunteers who help mothers, fathers, and caregivers cultivate caring, meaningful relationships with their infants and young children. Our services have been pioneering, anticipating families' needs, creating services to meet the need for connection and resources to help meet their concrete needs as best we are able, from diapers to formula to legal consultation. Our work has impacted many, locally, across the country and beyond. We're now partnering with early learning centers to bring a relationship-based approach to staff and parents. Our staff are working tirelessly to meet the increasing needs of our mothers, fathers, and caregivers, regardless of geography. This time has taught us more than ever that human beings are wired for connection. Likewise, from the beginning of life, a child needs that connection, that loving presence to survive and thrive. We never imagined our reach when we began. While we're all in this sea of uncertainty, unknown, and loss, we must acknowledge that all our boats are resourced differently. Whether a family lives in a homeless shelter or a large house, the emotional home for mother and baby resides in the relationship that binds them and in the woman's sense of herself as a mother. Cultivating caring, stable relationships is the primary antidote to trauma. This is a reality that Lauren and Baker and I connected on. Last summer, I sat down with Lauren Baker, First Lady of the Commonwealth, to talk about our shared passion for helping to create connections for children and families. Within moments, it was clear there was a synergy between CERS and Lauren. Lauren serves on the board of directors of the Wonder Fund, an organization that serves children engaged with the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families, known as DCF. Their mission is to provide comfort and dignity to children in traumatic situations and enrich childhoods that have been impacted by instability. We honor Lauren today and every day for her work to support children, her steadfast commitment to improving their lives through her work with the Wonder Fund, and her constant peripheral vision with CERS, connecting all of the dots of what we are doing. This morning, we'll share our experiences and commitment to improving the lives of children through the services our agencies propel forward. Together, we do our best to help them overcome significant obstacles and create and increase their chances of becoming productive, healthy adults. it's my honor to introduce Lauren Baker, a true friend to CERS.
Well, thank you, Peggy. First, I have to say how truly honored I am that JF&CS and the CERS program would honor me. It's a great honor coming from an organization that I so deeply admire. And I did connect with you all a while ago, and I consider you and your team to be a very important resource for me personally and for the Wonder Fund, as well as we all work to improve the lives of the children all across Massachusetts. When my husband was first elected, I realized that I'd been given a platform that would help me shine a light on issues that were important to me. And for me, it's all about children. I focused on vulnerable children engaged with DCF who, through no fault of their own, have had to endure some really tough situations, a lot of trauma. These are our kids, all of ours, and we owe it to them and to the future of the Commonwealth to help them grow into healthy adults, to help them reach their highest potential. So the Wonder Fund focuses on making moments that matter for these 50,000 children who are engaged with DCF, who might not otherwise have them. We provide aid in emergency situations and resources and opportunities to give those kids those moments of childhood wonder that every child deserves. So in an effort to learn how to best provide for these children, I, along with the Wonder Fund team, spent a lot of time learning about the impact of childhood trauma on lifelong health and well-being. And you've all heard about ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences, and how enduring things like violence in your home, food insecurity, even divorce can literally change the physical development of a child's brain. And this can have a lifelong impact. But we also know that trauma does not have to define a person's life. One critical factor that we know can change the trajectory of a child's life and make a huge difference is a healthy relationship with an adult who cares. So how do we make that happen for all kids? Well, one surefire solution is to make sure that moms, and dads too, have the support and the confidence they need to be that key person in their child's life. And the CERS program is a shining light here. This program makes a huge and important impact that has a ripple effect for parents and their kids and the rest of us, really, for years to come. So I continue to learn so much from Peggy and her team. Their knowledge and years of experience in this space make them absolutely experts in this field. And that's why it's not only me who turns to them for advice and understanding, the state does too, as it builds this thinking and their experience into early childhood care and education, both policies and programs. So to say that Peggy and I connected on this front is true, but actually it's really more like I came to the oracle.
Lauren, we are definitely on this journey together. In the midst of so many unknowns, we're working to tap into our many years of experience, using our starting place of what we do know. An example of this is the trusting relationships provide the protective ingredient for growth.
Yeah, as you said earlier, we know that humans in general, babies in particular, crave connection, and that critical relationship and the connection they make is required for normal brain development and emotional security. And that's how that's how this, a child's brain develops. We know that this is true, so we have to work hard to make sure that every child has the opportunity to make that connection.
Yeah, it really sets the platform for growth.
Right, children, it doesn't have to be perfect, this connection, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a parent, but it does, the child needs to have stability and reliability and just a consistent presence of someone who loves them to grow up normally.
Well, as we know, right now, I mean, we know it in the populations that we serve, but trauma abounds. At this time, no one is spared. Trauma really is the experience of feeling threatened and of feeling unsafe. And for us to walk in today and have to have our temperature taken and wear masks, it's trauma abounds with our children. And we are seeing it now in 1-year-olds who are withdrawing, in 3-year-olds who are regressing, in 6-year-olds who are becoming more aggressive to their children. It's a tough time for people who have the layer of trauma before coming into this situation.
Right, so, I mean, everything I've read, everything I've learned about ACEs and toxic stress, it's all exacerbated by this current uncertain time. But the other part of that is there's so many mitigating factors, so many things that we can do to help people survive and make something good out of the trauma that they have experienced and are experiencing right now. And that critical thing is the relationship. Every time, that's the first thing that comes up is this relationship is really key.
Yeah. And the idea that we bring, that by supporting the adults who are critical in that relationship, who provide the consistency, and bringing it to them even before the child is born, can make all the difference in that child's life.
Right, and that's what you do at CERS. I mean, that really is it. You shore up the parents, you give the moms and the dads and the caregivers confidence to know that they're not alone, that they're capable of doing a good job. You provide them all the support that they need so that they can be that parent that they want to be, and they can be that first critical, supportive, consistent relationship in a child's life, and that's what every child wants and needs. So, so it's, in these times when we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what is going to happen next. It's even more important, and to me, more meaningful, that we can rely on what we know matters and what we know works. And that's, to me, that's you. You know what matters. You know what works. You have this experience, and your ability to draw from all of that to make good things happen in these uncertain times is it's magic.
Yeah. It really speaks to, what our clients need now. And now more than ever, we're witnessing a crisis of spirit that can break a person into pieces unless they find someone who can hold them in understanding and compassion so that they can feel in their bones they are not alone. Our one-on-one connections and a multitude of groups are providing that much-needed understanding. We're using technology now to keep connected and using this opportunity to expand and to build upon what we've been doing for years. More than ever, so many of our families need those concrete things: diapers, food, basic needs Their benefits may not cover these, or their eligibility for those benefits make it an impossibility. Right now, our office space looks like a diaper pantry. And our staff is coming by daily for goods to drop off on people's doorsteps. There's a saying, it's actually a Motown saying, that it takes one to stay in the dark alone, and it takes two to let the light shine through. We're working hard to bring the rays of light. How did the Wonder Fund team respond to these basic needs, Lauren?
Well, when this pandemic became a reality, the Wonder Fund, like so many other organizations, immediately focused on, how can we pivot? How can we do things a little bit differently to continue to meet our mission and serve these kids where they are now? And we made some really quick decisions and modified the way we serve these kids. We focused on what we know works. We relied on the strength of the relationships that the Wonder Fund has with DCF and its social workers. And we continued to provide emergency aid like we always do, but we pumped a lot more money into that program and sort of relaxed the restrictions on what emergency aid means, so that social workers could allow families to use the emergency aid gift cards that we usually use for home removals. They were given to families in crisis to buy food and diapers. We worked with our partners to push 85,000 diapers out into the market, because even if you had the resources to buy the diapers, they were often really hard to find. They weren't in your local store. So we did a lot of that, and we switched our enrichment, because kids, where we were usually making it possible for kids to go to the museum or go to ballet or play sports or that kind of thing, they're all inside now. So we changed things around so that they could receive packages at home, and we've sent out about 400 packages that are arts and crafts kits and science experiments and hula hoops and jump ropes and you name it. Kinds of things that kids can do at home that will hopefully, continue to enrich their lives and give them, give them a sense of being a kid again and just playing.
I'm fortunate that you had that flexibility.
Yeah, and so that's made a huge, huge difference and allowed us to continue to serve these kids. But now, we've got that rolling, and now we're starting, like everybody else, to look toward the future and try to figure out how to prepare for what might happen next. And we don't know what's going to happen next. But one thing we do know is that through DCF, the reports of suspected neglect and abuse that usually come through mandated reporters like teachers and coaches and instructors and first responders, those reports are down 54%. And unfortunately, we know that child abuse and neglect is not down. It's just that there are no eyes on these children. Exactly. So we're trying to prepare for, an uptick in cases, unfortunately, and how are we going to continue to serve these kids in a way that gives them back these moments of childhood wonder that they deserve.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm happy to be here with you today, and I think we could talk about this and the learning and the experience that you have for years. And I think this conversation will continue for years to come, and I'm glad we got to start it this morning.
Yeah, likewise, and that we have these shared these shared intentions and these shared thoughts, and know that there can be change. You know, one of the greatest pleasures of my work is to witness the growth not only in the people we serve, but also in the people we work with as they move along their life journey. My colleague Kyra Kelly epitomizes resilience, as you are about to see. Please meet Kyra now.
Thank you so much, Peggy, and good morning, everyone. My name is Kyra Kelly, and I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict, and through God's grace, I get to be here on this beautiful morning and share how truly of an honor it is that I was asked to speak at this breakfast and let you know how I started working with CERS and the impact they've had on my life. So I've been struggling with, or I had been struggling with addiction for most of my life. I started using at 11, and it became a daily habit, and I continued to use for, you know, about 20 years of my life. The disease I suffer from is incurable and fatal, and it can show itself in antisocial ways, which can make it hard to detect. And those antisocial ways have a way of pushing people away from you, and I managed to push away anybody that meant anything to me, and I found myself very alone. I ended up getting pregnant in active addiction, and I had children in active addiction. And you would think that being pregnant or knowing that you're going to be a mother is enough to keep somebody, you know, get them to stop using, but the disease is so powerful that it can cut through a woman's natural instinct to protect her children. Kind of like a bear that's in the woods that's protecting their young. You know that if you see little baby bears and you run because that means there's a mama bear behind them, and their instinct is to protect. And this disease is stronger than that. So years down the road, I was able to bring my children home, and I was so grateful for that. But I couldn't stay off drugs. I couldn't stop drinking, and the state of Massachusetts came in and removed my children from my care. It was devastating, and they gave me this ultimatum that I go into a program or a shelter and I get help, or I'm not going to have my children back. And hence they became my greatest motivator. I ended up in a program, and this was my first experience with CERS and Project Nest. I had a woman come to the program that I was at, and her name is Amy Summer. She was, you know, amazing. I had an instant connection with her. She told me that my children were going to be okay, that I was going to be okay. She gave me reassurance that I desperately needed at the time, because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to live life. I certainly didn't know how to parent children. She gave me language around my children and what they were doing, and gave me the ability to see their experience in a different light, which I wouldn't have been able to do by myself. Our services ended, you know, having to end, and she gave us this card to go to the aquarium, and we made it happen. Me and my children, we went, and it was wonderful. My daughter still remembers it to this day, and my children still remember her 9 years later, and I think that says everything. So moving forward, some years went by, and I got a job driving a bus, and I was driving some clients to the JF&CS facility in Waltham to a different program, and I actually ended up running into Amy again, and she was like, oh my gosh, you got to apply for this job, and I was, you know, we just got this grant, and you would be perfect. And I had all this self-doubt, I had these doubts, but I believed what she said. I felt this, you know, it was this serendipitous moment. It was, and I did it, and I went for it, and you know, it was a little nerve-wracking, because essentially they were taking this, what I thought was like a liability, this addiction, this thing that we don't talk about, and they turned it into an asset. And I am so grateful to Project Nest, and which is a CRS program, that I am there to help these women. that come from backgrounds similar to mine. CERS has developed in me a strong sense of motherhood, and then continued to help develop my career, which has led me to a path where I feel empowered to be whatever I choose to be. Thank you.
Wow. I've been coming to the Women's Breakfast for nearly a decade, and these stories, they never cease to amaze me. They truly speak to my heart, and I am in awe of the bravery, the courage, and the commitment shown by the moms who are willing to accept the help that JF&CS has to offer. Thank you so much to Kyra for sharing your story. We cannot help women like Kyra without the generosity of donors like you. Today, JF&CS is hoping to raise $50,000 to ensure that every new mom in need can receive the support she deserves. Your gift, whether big or small, will help a new mom succeed during the first year of her baby's life. The need is more urgent than ever. For example, your $1,000 donation helps 3 clients apply for affordable housing and access public benefits. And your $500 donation provides short-term support for 4 new mothers returning to work after maternity leave. To make a donation, please visit our website using the address on screen. Thank you in advance on behalf of JF&CS and new moms everywhere.
There are so many ways to help JF&CS. You can volunteer your time. Volunteers are needed more than ever. On behalf of Susan and myself and the great team at JF&CS, I thank you for your participation in our virtual Women's Breakfast. Be well, be safe, and stay healthy, and thank you for your support.